Sir, are we very sure about our foreign policy?
Answer is that we are right now and that we have corrected an error which we made earlier. And now this correction has taken place in a certain context.
Sir, in that case, then what is the difference between Taliban and North Korea? Why are we not engaging with them then?
Are you sure that we don't have any relation with North Korea? We told Pakistan, no talks till there is talks and terror don't go together. Then what happened? Again and again terror attacks were there. So this business of no talks doesn't give you the intended results. You have to be talking. You have to be engaged.
Namaskar and welcome to Dialogue. Now, India is forging a relationship with Taliban. I'm not using the word Afghanistan. I'm saying India is forging a relationship with Taliban. Now, the reason I say Taliban is because India always and historically had great relationship with Afghanistan. So, the fact that we are kind of rekindling that relationship and all that is not exactly what's happening. We had severed our relationship with Taliban way back in 1996, and now we have decided as a country to engage with Taliban. Now, the point is a relationship with Taliban and therefore Afghanistan necessary for India? Does India need it? Will it help India? These are questions that have been floating. Now, a lot of people say a lot of things. A lot of people say that, listen, enemy is friend, and Taliban and Afghanistan and Taliban is not currently friendly with Pakistan, so it is better we forge our relationship with Taliban and so on and so forth. So a lot of these narratives are there. But I wanted to speak to an expert and understand exactly as to how does this entire thing work. Is this actually going to help India? Is it going to help Afghanistan? Is it going to make a difference in the way we see Taliban? Is it going to make a difference the way Taliban functions? Can India make a difference? And interestingly, the answers to a lot of these questions are not necessarily what we thought or what the general narrative is. Do watch this interview. Let's get right into the show and let's hear it from Mr. KP Fabian, former ambassador of India, and let's know his views. Sir, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me, and a very interesting topic today, sir. Sir, let's get directly into the question as we always do. Why does India need Afghanistan, sir?
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be with you and through you with the tens of thousands and more of those who view this channel in India and across the globe. Now, coming to the question, it's not a question of whether India needs Afghanistan. You know, India, if it wants to be, what shall I say, if it wants to take care of its economic and diplomatic interests, and if India wants to be true to its values, then India needs to have good relations with all its neighbors, and that includes Afghanistan, though there is no land border between the two countries. But as we all know, between India and Afghanistan, there is a long story of cultural relations and even political relations. Look at the Magadha Empire. It was there. And so it is necessary for India to have good relations with all its neighbors in South Asia, and that includes Afghanistan.
Correct, sir. Absolutely. There was a specific reason why I started this program with the question that why do we need Afghanistan? Because, sir, now Afghanistan equals to Taliban, and we were very vociferous right from 1996 when they took over for the first time. That is, Taliban 1.0, we were very vociferous. We said, we are not going to deal with them and so on and so forth. So, is Afghanistan and Taliban so important now that we have to kind of, overlook our principles and whatever we said before and be friends with them?
Yeah, thank you. You mentioned our principles. Now, what are our principles? You see, the India has followed till recently a policy of recognizing the country, not the regime. Let me explain. In 1979, when Shah fell, I was first secretary in Iran, and we did not recommend to MEA, hey, let us recognize the Khomeini regime. No, we said, let us engage with them. Let us continue our engagement with Iran. It doesn't matter who is in power. Diplomacy means being engaged with those who are in power. It's not a question of approving all that they do. So we continued with that. And it is my view that, there is no need to confuse between or conflict between Taliban and Afghanistan. Who is in power in Afghanistan now? Well, people who are described as Taliban. Okay? Then engage with them. That is the first principle of diplomacy. And it is my view that in 2021 August, when the American-supported regime fell because of President Biden's rather disastrous manner of exiting from Afghanistan, we initially closed down our embassy for security reasons. That, of course, is a correct decision. If the embassy is not secure, there is no point in keeping an embassy there. But that was August 2021. But in June 2022, we reopened the embassy and called it a technical mission. Now, meanwhile, China and Russia were doing business with Afghanistan. Okay? So my view is that if the security situation had improved by June 2022, we should have sent back our full embassy. That is the correct thing to do. And another thing is that, in India, we have a bad habit of carrying too much of historical baggage. Oh, the Taliban. What about the, hijacking of that aircraft? Well, something which happened in the last millennium. So that is not the approach. Approach should be to deal with those who are in power. And as I said earlier, it doesn't mean approving all that they do. For example, I had written that when the Taliban took over and they were in Afghanistan was in serious difficulties, shortage of food, shortage of medicine, shortage of foreign exchange, and this and that. I had said that India should publicly announce that the Indira Gandhi Hospital for Children, which was not being run properly because there was shortage of everything. We should have said, we are prepared to revamp it, meaning we shall send doctors and medicines from India and equipment if necessary, provided that the Afghan women who will be employed by us should not have any restrictions on how they dress and on their movement. If the authorities in Afghanistan are prepared to agree to that, we shall certainly revamp the hospital. Now, that would have put them on the spot, but we didn't do that. So the whole idea is to engage and then talk as necessary, in the manner as necessary. You can talk firmly, but you don't have to talk, what shall I say, impolitely or roughly. You don't have to raise your voice. You can be calm and you can be firm.
Sir, are we very sure about our foreign policy? I'll ask you. I'll elaborate my question. No, what I mean by that, sir. Sir, 1996 was the first time when we shut down our embassies in Kabul, isn't it? And then again we started, then again we shut down. And like you rightly said, it is not the regime, it is the country that we have diplomatic ties with. But then we kind of dilly-dallied in our policy, because here it was purely because of the regime, it was purely because of the Taliban. So sir, my question then is, were we right now, or rather, are we right now, or were we right then?
My answer is that we are right now and that we have corrected an error which we made earlier. And now this correction has taken place in a certain context. And the context is that India-Pakistan relations are worsening. Pakistan-America relations are improving. Pakistan-China relations are getting stronger and stronger. And as I said earlier, both China and Pakistan are engaged in Afghanistan in a big way. And India, that invested in Afghanistan to the tune of $3 billion before 2021, which built the parliament building and the big dam and much more. So India has invested correctly, and I think it is necessary for India to be engaged. And we are absolutely right in what we are doing. And then, of course, there was this technical debate in Delhi whether we are recognizing them or not. Well, that is a debate which is neither here nor there. If their foreign minister comes and meets with our foreign minister, and if they are going to send resident diplomats, and we are also going to send resident diplomats, the question whether we are formally recognized or them or not, it is just beside the point.
Question: what exactly is Taliban, sir? So many things spoken about them, so many stories about them. What exactly is Taliban?
Well, Taliban started as sort of an NGO, that is, which assists those who are in need of assistance. But then it started a militant wing. And then it started a political wing. So Taliban is composed of three things: NGO, a militant wing, and a political wing. And just because the West has declared them as terrorists, we don't have to sort of, stop understanding what is happening. The West can call them terrorists, but the fact of the matter is they are in power. And therefore, it is important. And of course, Taliban, I believe it means, those are disciples, the students, and all that. But that's an etymological matter. But basically, it was an association of those who believed in Islam in a very fundamentalistic fashion. You know what I mean? That Islam gives solution to all the problems. No, I don't agree with that. And as I said earlier, the way they are treating women is absolutely ridiculous and not at all acceptable. But then my view is that engage with them and tell them that. You see, talk to them, point out where they are wrong, but do it in a diplomatic way, which is persuasive.
You said that West called Taliban terrorists, so the whole world is calling them terrorists now. Sir, in that case, then what is the difference between Taliban and North Korea? Why are we not engaging with them then?
Well, it's like this. Are you sure that we don't have any relation with North Korea?
No, I don't know, sir. You would know it. So
Ah,
maybe.
we have relations with North Korea and South Korea. Only thing is that as a matter of fact, we send rather junior diplomats there because seniors don't want to go there and all that. No, we have relations, but you opened up an important question. That is, we all speak of terrorism, and the best definition of terrorism which I have come across was given by Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, not after he became prime minister, but much before that. He said terrorism is the use of violence to maim, murder, or threaten innocent people for gaining political for political gains. I consider this an excellent definition. Now, the beauty of this definition is that if you apply it impartially, it follows that the state of Israel has been conducting terrorism. Because as you know, in the name of killing Hamas, they have killed 20,000 children. Now, children cannot be Hamas militants.
Correct.
So there is a difference we should make between state terrorism and non-state terrorism. And I'm afraid state terrorism is much worse than non-state terrorism. And in the case of Taliban, they got a mix. Initially it was non-state terrorism, but then they took over the state power. And by denying rights to women and all that, they are still practicing a species of terrorism. But my idea is that they should be reformed. It's easy to condemn them and say, we don't want to do anything with you. No, that is not the right attitude. The right attitude is to engage with them and see how best we can make them change their wrong behavior.
Let's come back to our subject. Let's come back to Afghanistan. Sir, will this Indo-Taliban relationship, I'm emphasizing Taliban, will this Indo-Taliban relationship last?
It's like this. As of now, Taliban is in power in Afghanistan. Now, it is possible that they might be overthrown tomorrow. My view is that deal with those who are in power, and if they get overthrown, to engage with the new ones. It's not a question of how long they are going to be there or not. And while they are there, something, while we were sort of taking the attitude that Taliban is untouchable, okay? Russia and China, they got together and they worked with Taliban, or let me put it this way, in my way. They worked with those who are in power in Afghanistan, and they started exploiting the mineral resources. Now, the mineral resources in Afghanistan, according to the American Geological Survey, can be valued at anything between $1.5 to $3 trillion. And that includes rare earths, lithium, and many others, rare earths. And China is exploiting it. Now, the foreign minister from Afghanistan who came said, we invite India to do that. Yes, good idea. But, as a matter of fact, China has taken over the better mines. You know what I mean? So we are not going to get the best mine. So what I mean is that, it's a question of have a diplomatic principle of being always engaging with those who are in power. America did the mistake with the Soviet Union. It was under Roosevelt in 1933. You can calculate how many years after, the revolution, that America recognized the regime, or rather Soviet Union. And again, with China, America made the mistake. 1949 October, when China stood up, as Mao Zedong put it, and Nehru told Truman, talk to them. Well, Truman didn't listen. Then years later, Nixon corrected it. So this non-engagement with a particular government because we don't like what their ideology, that is wrong approach.
Sir, I repeat my question. How do you see the future of Taliban, Indo-Taliban relationship, assuming that Taliban is going to last for a long time?
Well, thank you. You are so skeptical.
I've learned it from you.
No.
I have learned to be diplomat now.
No. Diplomacy consists in doing what you can with those who are in power. Now, how long Taliban will last? I'm not a prophet,
Correct.
but I don't see any obstacle in the way of relations between Afghanistan and India improving. if both are keen on it. And as of now, both are keen on it. Afghanistan is very, very keen. And India
Correct.
also is keen for reasons
Correct.
which I've explained. And don't forget, Afghanistan was for a long time treated by Pakistan as its strategic depth. Now, thank God that is not the case. I don't want to see a war between Afghanistan and Pakistan. But if Afghanistan is asserting its independence vis-a-vis Pakistan, that's a very good thing. And as you know, in August 2021, when America left, Taliban took over. At that time, the mentor was ISI, Indus State Intelligence of Pakistan. And Munir, Field Marshal now, well, he was the one who was in charge of it. But then something fell through. Why? My belief is that Pakistan was too overbearing. Oh, this Afghanistan, the little brother, has to comply with all our instructions. Now, the proud Afghans did not like it. So they fell out, you see. So there are many things for India, not only, as I said earlier, minerals, but, we import, used to import a lot of dry fruit from them. There is so much. And don't forget the cultural relations, you know. So,
You spoke about Afghan Pakistan relationship.
hmm,
Somewhere down the line, are you actually hinting that we should be taking Pakistan's place in that relationship now?
I am not suggesting that we should be an alternative to Pakistan. I am drawing your attention to the fact that for many years, under Karzai and other presidents, we had a very strong relationship with Afghanistan. I told you about the parliament building and other things, hospital, this and that. So that relationship should continue. And let us not always be competing with Pakistan. We do what we have to do in our interest and stemming from our worldview. And as we so could say, substituting Pakistan.
Enemy is enemy is friend and all of that, the old cliche. So is that why we are trying to be friends with Afghanistan? Is that the reason why this friendship is so necessary?
I believe that the formula enemy is enemy can be a friend. Well, let me put it this way. I'll say can be a friend. But the
Not should
formula
be.
that enemy is necessarily a friend. No, something is logically wrong there. But let us not, let us ask the fundamental question. Is it in our interest to have good relations with Afghanistan in the context of the region, in the context of our interests? Well, the answer is very clear. And again, I don't want to see a big war between Afghanistan and Pakistan. No, we don't want to see a war. And I don't expect either. You know why? Because Pakistan has recently signed a mutual defense treaty with Saudi Arabia. Now, Saudi Arabia and you must have noticed Qatar also had counseled both parties, both Afghanistan and Pakistan, to cool down. So I don't expect a big war. But of course, there will be occasional skirmishes and all that. And then don't forget, Pakistan has the Air Force, F-16 and whatnot, and the Chinese. Afghanistan doesn't have an Air Force proper. So Afghanistan is a weaker party. So Afghanistan will not be interested in a big conflict, and Pakistan will not be permitted by the Saudis to attack Afghanistan in a big way. It's a question of engaging with the country, and which means engaging with the government of the day. Okay, that's point number one. Point number
Yes.
two is that you said it's very volatile and all that. I agree. But in politics and in diplomacy, you start from where you are. You cannot, you are where you are. You cannot change the ground realities immediately. But you certainly want to improve them. And in order to improve them, you have to engage. If you just say, we won't talk to you, let me give you an example. You told Pakistan, no talks till there is talks and terror don't go together. Then what happened? Again and again, terror attacks were there. So this business of no talks doesn't give you the intended results. You
Completely
have
agree.
to be talking. You have to be
Completely.
engaged.
What do you think about the current in Pak US relationship? The way Trump seems to be flirting with Pakistan, he seems to have a special love for the Field Marshal Asim Munir and so on and so forth. How do you see this relationship?
Well, there are a couple of aspects. One is that President Trump has some family business which he is promoting in a brazen way. You know, his son was in Pakistan, met with Munir and with Prime Minister. It is not only cryptocurrency, it is also minerals and maybe something more than that. So, family business is one angle. The other is that India has unnecessarily, what shall I say, alienated Trump. If you remember, during the war, air war between India and Pakistan, India gave such a strong response to Pakistan that it turned to the United States, Uncle, now what shall I do? And Uncle said, okay, you asked for a ceasefire, which Pakistan did. In other words, Trump was instrumental in making Pakistan ask for a ceasefire. And since India also did not want a big war, India wanted to make the point that terrorist infrastructure we will demolish. So India could have, between you and me, India could have acknowledged Trump's contribution. And there are many ways of doing it. You know, India could have come out with a statement. Tell me, why didn't India come out with a statement immediately after Pakistan asked for ceasefire? Why didn't India say, Pakistan has asked for ceasefire, we are considering it? Because in India, some people did not want to accept it. Okay? Now, that is not the correct attitude. So, we unnecessarily, you know, alienated Trump, and he's a very sensitive person. You know, he's so fragile, his ego. And then our foreign minister went on repeating, oh, Trump had nothing to do with it. You know, so that's not the way to treat. You know? Now let's see what happens. You know, their all-powerful ambassador designate had come. And can you imagine an ambassador designate calling on the prime minister? It has never happened in the annals of diplomacy.
It is very easy to offend Trump. So, what? The world should be now working towards a strategy that doesn't offend Trump? Is that how things are right now?
I'm not saying that it's not a question of yielding to him, to every demand, or only bothering about not offending him. It's a question of first understanding the man. Let me ask you, when Trump started his trade war, tariff war, why didn't the countries affected did not start talking to each other? How shall we handle this guy? Because they were all scared. Now, you know, that sort of fear is not a good, is not good diplomacy. You know, so I don't think, and also if you remember, did you watch Trump in Sharm el Sheikh? It was like a schoolmaster, headmaster. Others like students. He even took the attendance register. And all this Macron, Starmer, Merz, Chancellor, and the Secretary General of the United Nations all being assembled there, keeping silent till Trump recognized them and having a word with them. No, he was holding court. Now, I'm so glad that Prime Minister Modi did not go there.
Yes.
You know, so
Yes.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that we should be so scared of him or do every bidding that. No, it's a question of understanding the man and how do you handle him in a way which is advantageous to us.
No, sir, but the fact remains that had we gone and accepted the fact that he was instrumental for, pushing Pakistan for a ceasefire, if you look at it from that perspective, if you say that and he is happy and therefore we say it, Does relationship work like this?
I'm not saying we should do that. We should have come out with a statement that Pakistan asked for ceasefire and we have agreed to it. And in this context, we recognize that America put pressure on Pakistan to ask for a ceasefire.
How do you see this region going ahead from here? Pakistan not having really good relations with Afghanistan now, India trying to woo Afghanistan, US trying to woo Pakistan. How do you see things going ahead from here?
Well, there are many scenarios, so one cannot say which scenario will hold. But it is my hope that relations between Afghanistan and India will improve. And at some point of time, Pakistan will recognize the folly of having terrorism as a state policy and will approach India saying that no terrorism will be exported from Pakistan soil, at which point India should reinstate the Indus Water Treaty and enter into normal diplomatic relations with Pakistan.
You think you see this as happening in the near future, sir?
I said it is one of the scenarios. The other scenario is India restarting the Sindoor, and then you see we don't know where it will end.
Correct.
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 And I don't expect Pakistan to start a war. It may against some terrorists, but I don't expect it to start a war.
Sir, will India stop oil imports from Russia under US pressure?
Well, I have seen President Trump's statement to the media. I have also seen what the External Affairs Ministry has said. So it is very difficult to predict anything. But, between you and me, what India has been telling America is that, listen, you want to sell us more oil, we are prepared to take it. And as you know, we are taking it at a political price, not at a commercially determined price. So America should be satisfied with it. But then, who can predict about Trump? But I don't expect India to eat the humble pie and stop buying oil from Russia, though it may buy less. But a complete stoppage, I don't expect.
Correct. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And as always, what a pleasure talking to you. Thank you, sir.